This morning is our wonderful opportunity to thank some of the people who've been most instrumental in our success in 2015, which, as we've seen, has been considerable. One of the people most responsible for that success is Congressman Tom Cole of Oklahoma, who assumed the chairmanship of the House Appropriations Subcommittee on Labor, Health and Human Services, Education, and Related Agencies. And CPB is a related agency. So he is the man most responsible for taking us from the big zero that we've gotten from labor aid for the last 5 years to $445 million. So I'd call that progress. And I've invited Dan Scheidel, who runs Oklahoma Educational Television, to come and say a few words about the Congressman's role in the life of Oklahoma, which is very important. And Dan, why don't you come up and say a few words? Thank you very much. Dan Scheidel.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's my honor to introduce a fifth-generation Oklahoman, Congressman Tom Cole, who has even longer American lineage as an enrolled member of one of our First Nations. He's a proud citizen of the unconquered and unconquerable Chickasaw Nation. Time magazine correctly named him as one of the sharpest minds in the House, and he still is overwhelmingly reelected from a state that is justly proud of him. President Henry gave me that one, Tom. With a Bachelor of Arts from the celebrated Liberal Arts School of Grinnell University, Tom proceeded to Yale for his Master of Arts and the University of Oklahoma for a PhD. And his PhD, by the way, is in British history. So if you still have questions about Downton Abbey, you can talk to the Congressman afterwards. But seriously, it's no wonder that the Congressman and the Speaker of the House has tapped the Congressman to serve as a regent at the Smithsonian Institute. No wonder he's on the national board of the Fulbright Association and the Congressional Advisory Board to the Aspen Institute. A skilled advocate for a strong defense as well as for taxpayers and businesses, Tom has cardinal skills of leadership that have taken him to 3 especially influential House committees: Appropriations, Budget, and Rules. He also is the Deputy Whip for the Republican Conference and a member of the Republican Steering Committee. Fortunately for us today, Congressman Cole realizes the importance of public media. His district has a lot of rural areas that are huge partakers of our very own Oklahoma Public Television Network. He has appeared in our studios talking and teaching about the Constitution, as well as reporting about politics and government. And for as long as I've known the Congressman, I've known that he is thorough, that he's fair, and he's a straight shooter. Yes, a straight shooter. A highly admired Second Amendment trait in Oklahoma. Well, I've brought personal notes and gifts from Governor Mary Fallin, Chancellor Glenn Johnson, and our mutual friend, Oklahoma City President Robert Henry. And Congressman, it's a very honor and a blessing and a privilege to be here today to thank you and to thank you and honor you for all that you do for Oklahoma, America, and the world. So congratulations.
Gosh, what a wonderful introduction, Dan. And since you brought up Downton Abbey, I do have one complaint to all of you here. Please don't schedule opposite The Walking Dead. I mean, I have to shuttle every Sunday night. I'm flipping back and forth, and then next week I catch whichever one I missed the most of in the earlier, so it works out. But, you know, for those of us with split personality, it's a challenging moment. But this is a great privilege. It really, really is. And I have to say, in Washington, D.C., you are the happiest people that ever just got flat funded, because that's all you really got. Gosh, I usually get complaints for flat funding. You did get the interconnect, that a once-in-a-decade deal that makes a lot of sense, obviously. But this is, we have a lot of federal investments. And frankly, we have a committee, and the one I'm privileged to chair, that's rather controversial. It's a large jurisdiction, $160 billion, so Democrats and Republicans can find a lot to fight about. But they can also find some things to cooperate on. We found them, frankly, at the National Institute for Health. We found them with early childhood education, and we found them in the realm of public broadcasting, where members on both sides genuinely think these are valuable investments. I have seen it in Oklahoma, and what a difference it makes, particularly in the remote areas of our state, what quality of programming that comes in, the news coverage that comes in. Very important in Indian country, which is very important to me, not just in my state, but around the country. So believe me, I am extraordinarily grateful for the investments that have been made and for the effort to find lots of different voices, because we do live in a country of many colors, many ethnicities, many fabrics, many points of view. And contrary to some folks who are critical, I actually find all of them represented. Certainly OETA in my home state does an absolutely wonderful job in that, and frankly their broadcasting in terms of what's particularly happening at the state level is consistently higher quality than anything you can find on any of the commercial outlets. And a diminishing number of news media covers the state capitol, but OETA does. And I'm sure that's true in state after state, and it's certainly true for our country. So I know you've got other people to honor. Again, I'm going to tell my staff, gee, let's just flat fund everybody. And everybody will get awards, and they're just happy to escape the knife. I mean, it's a peculiar era to be there. But I'd be remiss not to thank a couple of people in addition to those here, but particularly my chairman. Hal Rogers has been a wonderful, wonderful friend in this. And when he tapped me to do this particular job, and I'll forget, it's a true story, this is not the most treasured appointment for a Republican to have in our conference. So he came up to me and he said, is there any way I can get you to do Labor H? And I looked at him and I said, well, I thought I had a choice. And he said, well, of course you do. And I said, well, then my choice is to do what my chairman wants me to do. So he liked that answer. Said, I got two requests. And he said, what's that? And I said, the first one is give me a good committee. I mean, this is a committee on the Democratic side, quite frankly, just to not be partisan, but observant. It's a very valued appointment. And so every one of my Democratic colleagues, if you're not the ranking member on that subcommittee, and I've got a very good one in Rosa DeLaura, you're a ranking member on another one. These really are their best appropriators fighting to get on, it's like Republicans fighting to get on the defense subcommittee. I mean, this is where they want to go. So, the other side is really good because they're really interested and they're talented and focused. And we tend to have a lot of freshmen that move through there and then move on to subcommittees of their choice and approach. So I got some really good members. I mean, I had some good holdovers anyway, and guys like Mike Simpson from Idaho, many of you know, chairs the Energy and Water Subcommittee, and I'd worked under his leadership on Interior when he was chairman there. Or Charlie Dent from Pennsylvania, again, another chairman, Veterans and Military Construction. Got really great members assigned to my committee. And finally, the other thing I asked for, and you mentioned the difficulty of being zeroed out 5 years, and I got a decent allocation. Now, I'm like every other subcommittee, I never get as much as I want, but I got a lot more than my predecessors got to work with. And then we arrived at a larger budget deal, which made these things easier to achieve than any of my predecessors had. So I was very fortunate in my timing, and I was very fortunate in my counterpart in the United States Senate. Roy Blunt over there is just terrific to work with. I was one of his deputy whips when he was whip on our side, and so whether it was NIH where we worked together or particularly this area, public broadcasting, his interest was quite genuine, quite sincere. So we didn't have to fight. I mean, basically had the same numbers in each bill and moved in the same direction in conference. And again, that wouldn't have been possible without our Democratic counterparts, without Rosa DeLaura and Patty Murray, who again also have a genuine interest and strong strong support for this particular endeavor. So whatever our differences elsewhere, thank you for providing us some areas of common ground where people of goodwill could really come together. Thank you for the marvelous service. And then my two fellow, your secret weapon is actually Pat Harris and Michael Levy. As you may know, yeah, you should. I had the good fortune of meeting them both when we worked at the Republican National Committee. Pat was, of course, co-chairman of our committee. Michael was her chief of staff, and we later got him bound to Oklahoma to be chief of staff for then Lieutenant Governor, now Governor Mary Fallin. But, you know, if I didn't like you, I am genuinely afraid of them. So pretty much just sign the check. Okay, Cole, sit down, shut up. So, it worked that way at the RNC, too, whenever they wanted something for the co-chair, and we just did it. But again, thanks for the marvelous public service that you perform each and every day. I'm pleased and proud for both the Democrats and Republicans on my committee that we were able to come together and be supportive, and we'll certainly try and do that going forward as well. So again, thank you very much.
While the congressman is still here, even though he may be walking out the door, I do want to say that, you know, I'm a connoisseur of really good public service wherever it falls on the political and ideological spectrum, having worked for Howard Baker and Gerald Ford and Ronald Reagan for as long as I did. And I have to tell you, there is no better member of Congress, leaving our issue completely aside, no better member of Congress who tries to make this place work, does make it work, is decent and honorable, and exactly what we want in a public servant in the United States. Thank you, Congressman.